Okay, just going to try and show what I've been doing with these rotor blades. I'm hoping if I shift the angles you can see I've sprayed just XF1 black, Tamiya black, over the panel lines randomly. I hope that picks up in certain angles. It's a bit hard to see, but next what I'm doing is I'm going to, this is awkward, so I've got German grey XF63, but it doesn't have to be that particular colour. I'm using a 0.2 needle. I've got the nozzle cap off to get a finer spray, and it's heavily thin, so it's you're probably looking at like 70% thinner to 30% paint roughly. Alright, and now this next step, all I'm doing is just again random spraying in the panels, inside the panels. And hopefully that's showing up, and then when I get to the end I come along and do the whole this side, just random. So that's just what the effect I'm trying to get is that this looks like it's faded. So this is the top of the blade. Like I said, a Vietnam, harsh environment. Underside was I just did the black over the panel lines. I'm not doing fading because it's the underside of the blade, so it's not seeing the sunlight. And then after this, there'll be one more step that I'm going to do for the weathering of the blades. Okay, I mentioned I was doing another step of weathering. It's actually two. This one, and then the final step is a wash. So the grey is done. I've given it a clear gloss coat. What I am doing now, I've got this large brush. I'm using AK Natural Steel. That's the 3rd gen range of acrylics, but again, doesn't have to be that. It's whatever works for you. So basically I just want to dry brush, but I'm dry brushing, but I only want it subtle. I don't want it in your face. So I'll start with the leading edge of the rotor blade. I'm going to work along it. So it's just all subtle, and then I'll work so this is the underside of the blade. Oh, that's too heavy. Good thing with acrylic, if you want to do it quick, get rid of it. So I'm not going to bore you with doing the whole thing. But the idea is I'm hoping that just shows up enough. With suggesting wear on the blade, but just subtly, so it's starting to expose the aluminium underneath the paintwork. So I'll do that over the rest of the blades. So I've done this one. Again, it's subtle, so it might be hard to pick up, but so I'll continue doing the rest of the blades, and then that'll be it for them other than the wash. Right, so I'm using something different as a wash for this model. This is Ammo Mig's acrylic wash range. This one's the brown, or it says brown wash for sand, but it's got a nice reddish brown color that suits my Vietnam chopper. This was, I think I mentioned this earlier in one of the other videos. I was experimenting with it because I haven't used it before. It's normally acrylic washes, I normally just use Flory washes, which are also acrylic, and I think they're a clay-based wash. This one, even though it's acrylic, it seems quite different to me. It seems more stubborn to remove. So hence I was experimenting with this old, or spare wing I had, but so that's the wash. It's I find it's really thick, and it's thick coverage as well, which I guess isn't a bad thing. Just like I said, I'm not used to it, so I wanted to experiment with it. So I started with the rotor head, and I started just brushing it on, but it's so thick, and I'm thinking I'm gonna be here all day trying to do this. So what I did is I got a couple of airbrushes. I got one with a 0.3 needle I use for acrylics when I do use acrylics, which isn't often in an airbrush, but I thought I'll just spray it through that, and that's the result, which is better than how I was going with the brush. So now it's a matter of how good it will knock back. Grab this is, I'm going to need cotton buds really to get at this, but I just use a bit of paper towel, moisten it in my mouth, and I rub back. Don't mind me, I'm eating the wash. It's acrylic, won't hurt. So it is knocking back all right, or I'm going to be more so with this to get at everything. So it seems to be knocking back okay. So that's what I'm going to do for the wash on the aircraft anyway, because it's suiting the colour I want. But like I said, it's new to me, so I thought I'd show you how it works. So I'm going to do, when I do the fuselage, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to airbrush it on and wipe it back, because that's going to be problematic as well because of the, well, raised rivets. Not so much problematic, but it'll be hard when you use paper towel and you wipe across raised surface like that, it rips the paper towel. So going to be a long process, but got to be done, and the results will be worth it, I should imagine. Well, I'm trying something else now. I think if I keep working with the cotton buds, I'm going to have extremely clean areas and really dirty areas where it's too much of a clash and it won't look natural, because the rotor head's so complex, it's just hard to get at. That's why. So I thought I'll try just some water and a soft brush. So coming in with that, dry some of the water off, and then come back in again like that. So you can see the difference. So I've done in this area, you can see it's a bit cleaner than the outer where the blades attach, and it's more even, looks more natural. Like helicopters differ to fixed wing aircraft because they're working on the ground a lot, and they're going to get a lot of dust on them, and they're going to get dirty, and they're going to be a lot more dirtier than a traditional fixed wing aircraft, plus the environments they're working in too. So I'll continue with this method to do the rotor head and difficult parts, but the rotor blades will be more with just the paper towel because it's a smooth surface. And if you want to hurry up the drying, I've just had a hairdryer on it just to dry up that water quicker so I can see what the result's going to be. Okay, rotor blades, I airbrushed them as well. Now let me just be specific about using an airbrush. Don't use your best airbrush or your favorite airbrush, or one of your most expensive airbrushes, because this will be, you can clean it out, but all I'm saying is I'm using it, like I said, an old airbrush I use for acrylics, and I don't spray acrylics very often, so I have no qualm about using that to spray this. But just remember, it's a wash and it has pigment in it, so your airbrush, when you're done, before you spray any other type of paint, will need a thorough clean out. So just keep that in mind. So I'm not telling you to go and use your best airbrush to spray this stuff. And by airbrushing it, you'll go through more naturally, because even though I held up close, I'm still overspraying. So but I want to keep it constant. So if you put it on a brush, you'll see brush strokes. Even though I'm wiping it back, I prefer just to keep the whole process the same all over. So now we're up to the stage of wiping it back. So we're back to the paper towel. So go with for the blades. See, it's coming off on my glove. That's how messy it is, the pigment and that. Go with your airflow on this section. So it's going to be a process. You're not going to knock it all off in one hit, and it also depends on how much you want to knock it back. Maybe you want it more showing than not, but I just want it back to basically in the panel lines. So we'll say this, it's a lot more messier than Flooring Models washes. Oop. Anyway, I've still got to go over that more yet. That's not where I wanted that, but I'm just showing you the method. Okay, done with wiping the wash back. So you can see the decals, they're the underside, and then the other ones are from above. So all the things I've done in weathering wise have added up to this final look. I will be giving it a coat, a flat clear coat, so that will be the final step. So rotor head, I'm happy with the state of wash on it now. It would be more dirty than the actual blades, and as for it goes together, they just slot in like that. I'm not going to force it all the way in yet, because I'll each time you do that, you're going to wear it away a little bit. I want to hopefully enter this in my local show later in the year, so I'll minimal amount of putting it together and pulling it apart would be ideal for that. So yeah, so that is the rotor head and rotor blades done. As for, if you think, oh, why not paint some different colors in the moving mechanisms of pistons and whatnot, the linkages, well, all the images I've seen online of the rotor head, that pretty much they're painted all over olive drab. So that's not to say that you couldn't do that, but I'm just going with that. It's a huge build, and there's still heaps to go, so I'm not normally one for long builds like that, so I just got to keep pushing on.